Hello and welcome to the last in a series of sew-alongs for the Emily Dungaree dress pattern. In the last two videos I've covered making two different versions, one in a jumbo cord and one in denim, just to show different options on pockets and finishing. So I'll recap where we are with that, but in this video we're just going to look at the finishing touches really, so the dungaree clips, the buttons and the hem. So in the last video I worked on the cord version and we made the straps and applied the neck facing, and I chose to understitch rather than top stitch around the neck edge on this one, because that's the finish I decided I wanted on this because it's quite a bulky fabric. So I've done the same things on the denim dress, but I'll just tell you about the differences. So firstly, because this is a stretch denim, I have interfaced. I've just used a very lightweight interfacing for the neck facing, just because it's stretch. I still didn't want it to be too stiff and boardy because obviously you've got double weight denim, and if I use a very stiff interfacing, this would be quite boardy. So I just chose to use a very lightweight interfacing just to prevent the stretch from distorting this edge. And then secondly, I've decided to top stitch this one because I was using the top stitch thread as a feature on this one. So I've got a contrast red top stitch thread running throughout the whole garment, and I'm actually going to use that to finish the hem as well. So what we're going to do now is apply the dungaree clasps. But just before we do that, I just want to just talk about the types of clasps you can get. Basically you can get these type with two bars, or you can get one with one bar. The ones with one bar you need to actually stitch the strap around the clasp, or you can get these two bar ones where you can thread it through and back on itself and you don't actually need to stitch it in place. So what I've done on the jumbo cord one is I have stitched them in place, even though these actually were the two bar ones. The fabric's so bulky that there's no way I'd ever get that through, both, you know, looped through and adjusted. So I've actually gone ahead and stitched this, but this is essentially what it would look like if you had a single bar dungaree clasp. So it's just literally stitched, but you need to obviously try it on and check you've got the right positioning. And you can, if you want this stitch line to be a bit closer, you could use a zip foot, or you could move your needle position closer to one side so that your line of stitching comes just above the buckle line. But again, because this is so bulky, I'm happy with how that is. So I'm going to go ahead and put the buckle on this denim version now. So because this is a lighter weight, I'm going to use a threading method, and it will still be quite fiddly, but I'll try and show you how that works. The first thing to do is just check that your buckle is going to be applied to the right side. It's not too difficult to find that on this because obviously I've got the bright red top stitching to follow. So you need to put the top stitch side through the top of the buckle like that, and then it needs to go underneath the bottom bar. So we're going like that. So your buckle is on like that. And then this is the really fiddly bit. You need to bring this end, I would send it down the strap a bit unless you think you're going to need this at full length. And just let this have a bit of slack there behind the bars. So then take the end and thread it through the middle of the bars. This just gives you a little bit of space to manoeuvre. But like I said, even with this it will be quite tight, and this is one of the times where if your straps are too wide, this will feel really difficult to do. And then once it's through the centre, you need to bring it back and out of the top bar. like that. And then it's just a case of tightening it all up, which I'm not going to pretend is the easiest job, but there we go. And you need to sort of fiddle around to get that in the right place, but you can now adjust that, so when I try it on, if that's too short, I can just feed a bit more of the strap through and until it feels in the right position. So the next thing we're going to do is apply the buttons. So this is really simple because these are just hammer-in buttons. You can of course use sew-on buttons as well if you wanted to, but these ones do look really nice with the Dungaree clasps. So the way I like to do this is I like to take the button and lay it on the dress. I like to lay it down flat, which I've done ahead of this so I know the right position. But if you just lay the button where you think it's right and then bring your Dungaree clasp over so you can see the full position, and then if you measure in, when you're happy with the position, if you measure in from the edge and measure in from the top to the centre of the button, basically that's where you need to mark your cross. So I've, like I said, I pre-measured this when I had it flat on the table, and I've already made a little chalk cross on this side. So I chose 1.5 centimetres in and 1.5 centimetres across. And all I need to do now is make a hole. I don't have a magic solution for making holes, but I've no idea where I got this tool from, and I think it's actually quite an old tool, but it's sharp. It's slightly blunt but slightly sharp. If you need something like that, just to pierce through the fabric to make a hole. And this is actually perfect, but I'm sure there are tools out there. So once you've got a little hole like that, you can then place your button back through the hole, like that, and put your button top on top like that, and then you just need to hammer that in place. So I tend to do this on the carpet actually because it's a nice bit of cushioning for this. So place the button down on the carpet, place your dress on top, and then just hammer it lightly until that's in position, and that part's finished. So I shall do that and show you in a few minutes how that looks. So lastly we're going to do the hems. So just before you start on the hem, I do recommend just try the dress on and check that you're happy with the overall length, because obviously at this stage you can still change the length if you want to. So I have already stitched the hem on the jumbo cord version, so I can show you how that looks. And because both of these fabrics are quite heavy, I've decided just to turn a single turned hem. If they were a bit lighter you could do a double turned hem, but the other thing I wanted to do was I wanted quite a deep feature hem, so I've turned up about 3.5 centimetres I think it was in the end. So I like that look really on dungaree dresses. So what I did was I turned and pressed this 3.5 centimetres and I just overlocked the raw edge. And again, you could zigzag the raw edge, or if you wanted a really fancy finish you could bias bind this before you stitched it. But if you've got an overlocker, that always looks quite neat. So I overlocked that, and then I've just literally machined around just to get that deep finished hem. So for the denim version, however, I want the top stitching on the outside, and because the top stitching thread is only on the top of the machine, I have done it slightly differently. So again, I've still overlocked the edge and then I've turned it up 3.5 centimetres, but I've tacked around the whole of the hem so that I'm able to stitch it from this side without it being a problem, you know, without it distorting. But the other thing that I've done with the tacking is I've tacked it in the actual overlocking, so it gives me a guideline when I machine it. So I'm going to go ahead and machine that now and show you how that looks in a minute. And there we have it. I'll just check that round. A nice deep top stitched hem. So just to show you how the buttons look, which is the final thing, I already applied them to the jumbo cord version, so they look nice. And then what you could also do, I've just put a couple of pins here, is just hand catch the facing to the side seam on both sides, just to stop the facing from flapping out. But if you're not too bothered about that, you could leave that as well. And that's it, 2 finished Emily Dungaree dresses. So the jumbo cord one and a more traditional denim one. So there we go. I hope you found that useful and enjoyed the videos. So if you'd like to see some more videos, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Bye.